With a population of over 180 million people, Nigeria ideally requires a security framework which is proportional to its population. And for many, they believe it could be an overreach as well, given the many challenges that bedevils the nation across board, one criminal act to the other. Now, the management of crime and criminality, for many, is being considered in different quarters, for the traditional way of policing to other mix for security architecture. I'm sure we want to find out what other means we can actually take a look at. Well, it's not new entirely, because for many from independence, at least since the colonial masters left, we've actually been looking forward to what should be a security policy. How that is going to resonate is another kettle of fish. But majority seems to embrace this particular idea. What are we talking about? We're looking at the community approach. How do we get the constituents, the different people actually in such communities to actually feel and go along the traditional way of policing? Well, these are some of our concerns today on the program. Nigeria Today, welcome. My name is Blessing Abu. Yes, with me in the studio to provide answer to some of this areas of concern for you, as well as those of them in that particular field. I'm sure you want to find out who our guests will be. Well, let me welcome to my far left, Assistant Inspector General of Police, Austin Iwa. He's a consultant and for police and security sector development. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
And also like to welcome Kabiru Adamu. He's a security management expert, and he's also Chairman American Society for Industrial Security, Chapter 273, Abuja. Well, what that number means, you'll let us know too. Welcome, Kabiru Adamu.
Thank you.
Yes, good to have you on this side of the divide. We know most of the time we're on different programs, we get to talk to you from Maiduguri.
Yeah.
Yes, for the benefit of the man on the street, I know for some of them they could understand that, but let's put it in its own perspective. What exactly is community policing? Well, the policeman in our midst should actually let us know more.
Well, thank you very much. This is quite a very simple thing to approach. Community policing simply talks about how the police will engage with the communities and deal with issues that are of concern to the safety and security of communities. I mean, it is a proactive approach to policing rather than the traditional, like you have mentioned, the traditional reactive approach to policing.
Kabir?
Yes, it's a philosophy that wants to bring back policing to control of the people on the street, you and I. And at the end of the day, the objective is so that we take ownership of policing. We feel that the functions of policing is to our own benefit. It started as far back as the late 19th century in the United Kingdom, and at that time they were challenged by a number of personnel, the same challenge that we have in Nigeria, and they introduced that concept to change the entire approach to policing, and that means the people saw the police directly on the street. They could talk to them, they could go to them and give them information on what concerns them, and then that way the police would also deploy to take care of the needs of the people.
So why can't we approach that from this part of the crimes as well? Are we so averse to something that is going to be, well, should we say, would they be subordinated in one way that's the traditional way of policing?
So yeah, there have been problems. If I'm right, the concept of community policing started in Nigeria as far back as 2004, and over time we've seen several attempts to introduce community policing. Model states have been created, and within this period we've seen one or two issues. Some of the issues are within the police themselves, because there is the age-old traditional way of doing policing that some officers know that's how they were trained. So they're a bit reluctant to change and give up control of the police to the common man, more or less. Another challenge that we've seen is the big man mentality. where certain individuals in society, because of their wealth or authority they have, want to keep control of the element of policing. Funding is another challenge, unfortunately, as it were. Personnel strength is also another challenge. Then even the management of that's the deployment of the number of police officers you have is another challenge. Communication is another challenge. The big elephant in the room is the concept itself. From my experience, certain elements within the police see community policing more as a structural approach than a philosophy. So they see it more as, okay, you talk to a DPO and he tells you he has created a community relations department.
Unit.
As far as he's concerned, he has done community policing. Meanwhile,
it goes beyond that.
Exactly. It should be a philosophy that would drive the action and the activities of that division.
Let me just add that, yes, some of the things, the challenges he has mentioned here are challenges that we have encountered in operationalizing community policing. But then again, change is not something you achieve overnight. It's slow. It's a process. And as a philosophy, it's a process. It's both a philosophy as well as a strategy. Of course, there are certain institutional impediments, like he has mentioned some of them here, that need to be dealt with before you achieve the institutional achievement that you want with community policing. But we've been on this road since 2004, and it was rolled out in phases. In phases. However, the philosophy is still yet to be ingrained as an institutional approach.
Why is it difficult to do that? Because I'm asking this question against the background of, yes, people believe in that we could actually achieve something with community policing, but somehow it's as if it's not something that is a buy-in for everyone, especially even for those of you in the traditional.
It's a buy-in for everyone. So every policeman. So why is it
like a Herculean task to actually achieve?
Every policeman. It is because of culture, the police culture that has been entrenched for over the years. Remember that we are coming out from a colonial perception, from a colonial practice of protecting the interests of the state rather than the interests of the community. And so it takes time for these changes to be done away with in such a way that you begin to develop the overall institutional culture of community policing. There are certain areas, certain states that you go there that you see community policing being practiced very well. In some jurisdictional successes are there to talk about, but institutional success is still something that the police is still working on, because it involves training right from the recruit level, right from changing the managerial perception, changing strategies, changing the basic philosophy of policing and all that. And these things take time, knowing fully well that the bulk of the police you have today, the large percentage of the police, are people that practice police from the colonial military mentality that has been with us.
How do we underscore what exactly the traditional police, let's even assume that they want the cooperation of the people, the integration of whatever it is they want to actually roll out to secure lives and property and even stem aspects of crime and all that aspects of criminality. How do we underscore what in itself is what is expected of the people?
You see, the traditional policing is basically reactive. It's basically sitting down and waiting for the problem to take place, and then you approach it. But the police realize that because of the reactive aspect of policing, the core responsibility of the police, which is crime prevention, has been suffering. And so community policing tries to balance, bring a balance between the reactive policing and the proactive policing. And then again, it requires a lot of education, not only on the part of police officers, but on the part of communities that should work with police. In areas where we have rolled out community policing, like I said, it's a gradual developmental process. In areas where we have rolled out, there are institutions.
Some of these areas and how it has actually helped your work.
In Gwagwalada, for example, we have we rolled out community policing in Enugu, in Kanu. But just like he mentioned, the initial rollout was in about 167 police stations, and we have about 6,000 police stations. That is the initial first phase of rollout. We started with 6 states, then we went to 13 states, 19 states, and then the entire 36 states. But you need to understand that even with this rollout, you still have challenges of getting the right practitioners that we train people to practice, to be able to deliver community policing benefits.
Okay, Kabir Adam, let's back off a bit. I know we've tried to see some of those areas of concern with some of the places, like he had pointed out, some of these places where the such had been rolled out, and you already talked about issue of funding and also other constraints. Where is the place of trust for what the people? Because I'm checking out. Earlier on, he talked about the traditional policing, protection of the state versus protection of the people. The place of trust for the community to even believe in what this security architecture is going to be doing for them. How do we bridge that?
Well, in this regard, maybe we can talk a bit about the police reform bill that is currently at the National Assembly. In that bill, one of the aims is to establish community police boards at the state level and then at the local government level. And the idea of those boards is to have representatives from within the community that will engage with the police. If we look at the current situation, there are certain states that have done quite well, even though they are not calling it community policing, but it's just another word for saying community policing. An example is Lagos with the trust fund, the security trust fund, where resources are being pulled in, and then the fund sits together and agree how to expend the money from that fund, directly meeting the needs of the people. That's progress, and I think that should be a model really for a lot of the other states that have challenges like Lagos has.
That's if they have such resources as Lagos.
Well, if you ask me, the resources are there, and I'm a security practitioner. He is also a security practitioner, retired.
As a matter of fact, resources is one of the reasons. The lack of resources for sustaining traditional policing is one of the reasons why we promote community policing, because the assumption here is that some of the resources are with the community, some of the resources are with the police. So by the time these resources are brought together, they will make a better impact on the safety and security of the communities. But community policing is about local policing. It's localism, like some people call it. You have it focuses on the needs, the challenges of the local community.
Why is it imperative for us to just take a look at that local area, doesn't localize that? Why is it imperative for us?
Because not two communities have the same problems. No two communities have the same foundational problems. I mean, problems have the same causes of problem. So what community policing does is to look at the community in a holistic way. Look at what, for example, if there's robbery in a community that is predominant in a community, why is there robbery in that community? Why is it that the community is experiencing robbery? You look at the indicators. What are the factors that are creating that the problem, and then you bring in people that have the resources to make impact on that problem. It could be government departments, could be police department, it could be other non-governmental agencies that have the resources to impact on that problem. So it is, at the end of the day, it becomes a community problem, including governmental and non-governmental, not strictly a police problem. So and that is why
perhaps the knowledge of such terrain.
Yes,
of course.
Exactly.
I think which is
that's actually the main advantage. The fact that you have people who understand the environment, who can relate with the issues at hand, and then they are the ones who will now proffer solutions to the problem. One of the challenges that policing has in Nigeria is the absence of a database for a lot of issues.
Yeah, which is key, and for you gentlemen, we're going to be looking into that, because data is something that is very key for us to actually even know where and how to dispense such aspect of policing to the different parts of the country. Some of these areas, and as well as what are that kind of mixed reactions the conversation is tending towards. We'll find out from you after the break. We actually went out earlier on to find out from Nigerians on the streets what they thought about community policing. I'm sure you want to find out what they thought too. You're watching Nigeria Today, and this is on community policing. We'll be right back after this break. Let's get to the streets.
You need community policing at this time. The police can't cover everywhere. I mean, when they have the community police in the community, they can attend to situations even before the police come around. It's very, very essential. We need it.
Yes, it's a good one. I actually believe that security starts and stops with everybody. If everybody participates in security, we'll discover that we are more secured. That's the truth. So community policing is a good idea.
Community policing is something that is a welcome idea, but it needs to be checkmated so that it will not fall into the hands of the wrong one, because in some state governments use it against their opponents. So if there should be a policy by the National Assembly in order to checkmate it, the criteria for the community police, I think, is a welcome development.
Very good. If community policing can be implemented, especially the vigilante group.
Need to overhaul the entire security system. One, in intelligence gathering, in equipment, then providing the necessary things that will enable the police to perform well, then information gathering, communication between the police and the community, the people. Police should interact with the people.
Their reactions from Nigerians on what they thought about community policing. Now, we earlier talked about issue of data and also the need for delineation, boundaries between where the federal might, which is the traditional policing now, will be, as well as that of the community policing. How do we marry all of that? You take a look at the data, and also you could come in as well.
Okay, one of the things that shocked me in my interactions with the police is how much data is available to some local units of the police, depending on where you go to. The DPO in that division will tell you the signature of a criminal. So if a crime event takes place, he's able to analyze it, and he will tell you he has an idea of who carried out that crime. But unfortunately, it stops there. There is no pool where this data is being collected currently by the police. So we're hoping that community policing will take care of that, where at the local government level and especially at the state level, they're able to pool this data together, so that anytime there is a crime incident in any part of that location, they're able to know that the signature left behind by the criminal tallies or rhymes with a particular individual that is already in there.
So such trend should be watched out. Okay, AIG, well, let's take a look at all-inclusive aspects to helping community police work. What should be the role of the citizens, or at least those people in such communities? How should they help to actually make it work?
Well, let me just first of all clear one misconception, because sometimes when you hear the word community policing, people think that it is community, it is community driven. This is police driven program, recognizing that the police cannot solve all problems on its own, and that it requires partners. And because of that, you hear about partnership development, you hear partnership with local authorities, partnership even with the road safety, with other institutions of government that have responsibility for safety and security, and also from citizens. Now, with regards to citizens, we like to look at the organized bodies within communities. For example, if you go to some communities, they have neighborhood watch associations, they have community-based I don't like using the word vigilante. I like to use the word neighborhood watch association. It's more professional. It's more professional than vigilante. Yeah. So and then you have organized people within the communities, even the local chiefs, all the associations within the communities that are organized. And that is one of the advantages we have here in our own part of the world with regards to community policing. We are organized at every level, whether it's market level, whether it's tomato sellers level, whether it's Gary sellers level.
At least there's a face to whatever group you're working with.
Yes, there's a face with the people you are working with, the problems they have, and then you engage with them and see how these problems can be solved. So communities can latch on community policing through organized systems within their communities, not really on individual basis, but individuals that have certain skills and competencies can always contribute to community policing.
So how do we draw the line? Because I asked a question to you, the last part of the question, where we have the community policing, at least structure, as well as boundaries for the federal.
Yeah, that is the problem. It is a philosophy that defines the way police will deliver its services. So it is not about certain people doing community policing and certain people doing other kinds of policing.
But there have been such challenges. Actually,
yes, there have been such challenges.
So how do we address that, or how do we, going forward?
With training, with refinement of our structures, with refinement of our systems and processes and procedures, we will be able to get the necessary competencies, the necessary skills, and also the understanding by everybody, including all police officers, that this is a philosophy that defines how police services should be delivered. So you don't have a situation where some people are doing community policing while others are doing traditional policing.
Abir Adamu, how do we ensure an all-inclusive policing? Can we achieve that for the nation? I know some states have actually started doing that, like we already pointed out of Lagos. But do we see that actually working out for the entire nation and actually helping us to breach this area of working against crime and criminality?
We need to change, and by we I mean especially the leadership of the police. They need to change their approach. Right now I hear a lot of phrase, security is everybody's business. But the reality is it really everybody's business?
It is some people's business.
Yes, it is. But the point I'm trying to make is, are they taking advantage of what is available out there? Intelligence is really the key and paramount to every security plan, every security operation. With good and proper intelligence, you are almost certain of success in any security operation. It's just one, of course, of the elements, but it's probably the most important element. So how much of the intelligence do we actually harness from the community? Because it is when we harness that intelligence. So in summary, the leadership of the police and the government, I see the will, but we need to take it a bit further. We need to explain to the people that this is for you, embrace it, and then once you have the buy-in of the people, then I think you have the support that you need. And then secondly, also very, very importantly, we've talked about the philosophy. Unfortunately, certain elements even within the police don't understand this philosophy. They are happy, they set up a desk or an office, and as far as they've concerned, they've done community policing. So I think we need to do a bit more than that. Our international partners, especially UK, they are doing wonderful job in training our police officers in community policing, but we need to expand that training. Let it go to even the recruitment level, so that once you recruit a police at whatever level, he understands and knows what community policing.
So more still needs to be done if we must achieve effective community policing. Exactly. Last word from Ajiwa.
Yes, just like he has said, intelligence is critical to police services, and intelligence-led policing is one of the instruments of community policing. And it simply means that before you take any decisions or before you make any decision, you must be informed. It's like, it's sometimes some people call it information-led policing. You must have the right information to do the right, to take the right decisions. But having said that, this is a developmental process. We are not yet there. Even in developed countries like UK and US, they are still
it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress with regards to the development.
All we want is a safe environment to actually thrive and do business and also live in properly.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, that's it on this edition of Nigeria Today. But before we go, we want to appreciate our guest, AIG Austin Ewa, retired consultant, police and security development. Welcome and thank you very much for coming on the program. I would also like to appreciate Kabir Adamu, Chairman, American Society for Industrial Security, Chapter 27. Okay, what was that?
So we have about 88 chapters across the world, and 3 in Nigeria, 1 Lagos, Abuja here, and then Port Harcourt. So the one in Abuja is the Chapter 273.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. All right. Well, many thanks for coming on the program. We appreciate your insights, and we look forward to having your next outlook, taking a look at security and management generally. Well, thank you too for watching. Remember, you can watch this edition or any other edition online at youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. My name is Blessing Abu. Enjoy the rest of the day.